Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Roti. I am joined alongside my co-host, London Beth, and today we are hitting on the Chicago Bears and if they should move up in the 2021 NFL Draft. We kind of hit on it last week. London's moving back. I'm staying put, but there has been recent news that a few teams are shopping their top 10 pick. It has been reported that the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Detroit Lions, and Miami Dolphins all have a quarterback set for the 2022 season or 2021-2022 season and would be willing to trade down. The Bears have been linked, obviously, due to the desperate need for an elite quarterback. So you already know that Ryan Pace is going to be looking at every single option that he can to try to get the best bang for his buck in order to, move up in the draft. So just to clarify, London is pro moving up in the draft, and I myself am very, very against it. So London, if you don't mind, I'm going to hit on just why I don't want to move up. And I know you have some key points that my points kind of feed off into for moving up, for the positives for moving up. So you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right. So why I am against the Chicago Bears not moving up, or why am I against the Chicago Bears moving up in the 2021 NFL Draft is that they lose way too muach capital for years to come. It has not been reported that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are coming back next year, even though there's been a variety of rumors saying they totally did extensions and they're not releasing it to the media because fans will go crazy, which I think we can all agree that fans would go crazy if they did get extensions without a proven season. But I think that the Bears are going to lose too much capital. And if let's say that they were to fire Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, you're stuck. The head coach that comes in and GM is going to be stuck with the team that we have now, less draft picks for years to come, and they're not able to build the team the way they want to. And that's not going to attract an elite GM. That's not going to attract an elite potential head coaching position, which is a total hit or miss these days. But in regards to the GM, you can go out and persuade a GM or an assistant GM that's a part of a good team, and who's going to want to come here. So, losing that capital, the Bears have a lot of stars on the roster, but a lot of them are aging, and we need those early draft picks. And what's likely going to happen is teams know that the Bears are desperate, but let's get into that in a second. But the Bears have aging stars, and that's what I want to hit on. Mack is going to be on the wrong side of 30 this season. Hicks is definitely on the wrong side of 30, though still showing production, is on the wrong side of 30. Eddie Jackson is officially in his prime between 26 and 30 for his position. Allen Robinson is also in his prime. There's a lot of young talent on this roster, and there's a lot of guys that are aging. Mack is obviously our star. Robert Quinn did not do anything last year, so we're hoping that he can exactly. We're hoping that he can get back on track. It seems to be a common theme with the Bears that the first year when you're on the Bears, you're not good, minus Khalil Mack, but aging stars. And then on top of it, you're getting a questionable quarterback, which, I'm going to get to that in a second too, but remember where Mitch Trubisky was. Just remember that point for a second, where he was ranked in his draft class. My second point in regards to that is people know the Bears are so desperate for a starting quarterback. Was not a good idea to release the information. And like London said a couple episodes ago, brag that we gave the farm for it. Okay, so teams know that the Bears are willing to give up the farm for Russell Wilson. Yet, yes, a proven Super Bowl champion quarterback, but that doesn't mean that they're not willing to go out and trade up and get another potential Russell Wilson. So they were willing to give up too much for Russell Wilson, and teams are going to look at that and be like, all right, we want this year's first, we want next year's first, instead of giving up 3 first, because you're getting a young, talented quarterback on a rookie contract that could, keyword could, lead your team. Andy Dalton could lead us. Let's just make that clear. Again, I am pro Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can lead us. But you also have guys like Kellen Mond that can lead us. So, people know GMs are going to take advantage of it. So the Bears put themselves in a corner in regards to giving up too much capital again. Finally, the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky, who across many boards back in 2017 was ranked the #1 quarterback in the draft, above Deshaun Watson, above Patrick Mahomes. So technically, Ryan Pace did not do the wrong thing by getting one of the top-ranked quarterbacks. From a fan standpoint, by all means, everyone wanted Deshaun Watson. We all know that for a fact. But Ryan Pace did what his scouts said, what other professional scouts said, and who knows, if we did not take Mitch Trubisky, and let's say we took Deshaun Watson, there could have been a shot that the Texans would have taken Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. We don't know that. We don't know what would have happened in that draft. So that's where I'm going to kind of defend Ryan Pace there. And we're not going to get a Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson type quarterback in this draft. So before I get into my next point, London, kind of want to get your feedback. I know that was a lot, but I know that there are some points that you do agree with before I get into my next points.
Yeah. I'll talk about when I go into why we should move up. I'll go into some of the points that you just brought up. But a big thing that I agree with you, Nick, is just the aging stars that we have on our team. Okay. You talked about it. Mac, he's starting to get on the wrong side of 30. You know what I mean? And the wear and tear on his body that I see from him, guys like him, Akeem Hicks, Danny Trevathan, some of our like key fundamental pieces the past couple of years on defense are not playing every game, not playing every down anymore, are having back problems, leg problems, hip problems, all that kind of different stuff like that. That is concerning. So I agree with you there. That is very concerning. Also, I'm glad that you brought up my take on, right after the whole, when we were talking about the Russell Wilson
Too
thing.
much.
I'm still to this day, and I was actually in the gym playing some pickup basketball yesterday, talking to a guy from the south side of Chicago. And him and I talked about, the Blackhawks, how, after we won all those Stanley Cups, they came out and were like, hey, we're going to suck for a little while, but we'll get back to where we should be, to which I see them starting to get there. I'm so sick and tired, and I brought this up. I'm so sick and tired of being helpless, where the Bears just say, hey, we gave up everything we had for Russell Wilson. So now all these teams that we potentially, and I will talk about, can move up for, they know. Yeah, just they know. It's irritating.
Ryan Pace is like that girl in high school, or guy, depends on, like anyone can do it, but just being like, where it stands is that the second they did something that was so cool, or like you got the girl that walked into class, get it, when she just got her license and twirling her key. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what Ryan Pace was like. That is exactly what Ryan Pace was like when it came to, oh, look, I said everything I possibly could for Russell Wilson and I failed. You failed. And that's just what happened. So, just getting into the quarterback hierarchy while we're on it, London, I'm not a fan of moving up to 4 and taking a guy like Justin Fields. I know Bears Twitter is like, Justin Fields would be so sick. And sure, he could be an awesome quarterback in the NFL. But the thing is that people do not look at the historic history of the last 2 decades of primetime top 10 pick quarterbacks from Ohio State and how they started and where they are in the NFL or how they started. And London looked at this list and was like, oh my God, like some of these names, like I forgot about, but in college at the time, they were top 10 guys. So just to start, Dwayne Haskins, where is he at? Oh, sorry, he broke COVID protocol because he wanted to go party in a nightclub. And all he said was, oops, sorry. What are you doing? That's number one. Guy just complete. And also, he wasn't even good when he was on Washington. Didn't do anything. You had a third string guy that was undrafted that came in the playoffs and almost beat the Bucks. Almost beat.
Yeah.
That's right. Then you have Troy Smith. Remember that name? You had Terrell Pryor. He's not even a quarterback anymore. He's a wide receiver.
He's a better wide receiver.
He's a better wide receiver, but he was projected to be a good quarterback in the NFL. How did that turn out? Braxton Miller. You remember that guy?
Wide receiver.
Cordero Jones. Remember that guy? Ohio State and sure, Justin Fields had an awesome pro day. His second pro day is today as we're recording. But I'm sorry, like a red flag, like Ohio State quarterbacks. And I would love to be wrong. I wish nothing best for Justin Fields in his career. I want to be wrong that it's like the Madden curse, but of college, that you're cursed if you're an Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And then also, I am not a fan of Trey Lance. Not a fan. We talked about this before. He is a Division I AA quarterback in the Valley. No bueno. Played Illinois State every single year. I got to see him destroy us. Sure. Or, when Carson Wentz was there, look how Carson Wentz is doing. It's not the same collegiate level as I would rather have Justin Fields over Trey Lance. And I just made my point why I really don't want Justin Fields. And sure, he can tear it up for a year or two, but they get figured out very easily, especially from a small Division I AA school that has the advantage over schools like Illinois State, over Missouri State, who don't get big stars, even though shout out James Robinson for absolutely ripping it up for the Jaguars this year. But man, stay away. I am all in, and we will get to this later. If I don't have a choice, if Ryan Pace does move up in the draft, I'll say who I want later. But man, wait for later guys in the less risk, higher reward. That's what the Bears should do. Go out and get that elite offensive tackle, that elite cornerback, that elite wide receiver that we need. That just lower risk, high reward quarterback for the Bears. I think that's what we also need. And that's what the fans need. The fans need to get shocked. Be like, yes, we got our guy. Like a Tom Brady situation over in New England back in 2000? That's what the Bears need. But that is why I do not want to move up in the draft. Now, London, I know you have a lot of points why there's positivities moving up in the draft. And then followed by that, we will be choosing if we do move up who we pick. So London, let's hear why you are pro moving up in the draft.
So Nick, you had some good points there. Okay,
I'm
going to give it to you. You came out swinging, unlike the Cubs, and
I'm actually making contact though.
Exactly. And you threw a couple curveballs in there that I wasn't ready for before this argument started. But I'm gonna hit you with this, okay? And this is where I'm gonna switch this entire argument over, and I'm gonna hit you with this just to start, right? Yeah, protect yourself. The biggest thing, and I know you just ended with the whole Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterback, okay? Technically, Joe Burrow was an Ohio State quarterback, so I think he broke the curse. I will lay that out there. And Justin Fields is not a true Ohio State quarterback. He's a Georgia quarterback, but it's okay. That is not actually the reason why I was going to say that. The main reason why I agree there are some concerns with Ohio State quarterbacks, and yes, I agree Terrell Pryor was an 1,000-yard receiver and not a very good QB, even though he was flashy as heck on the Oakland Raiders. And yes, I have my reservations on Trey Lance. I've been out on Trey Lance for a while, but I think if he sits behind a veteran, he can be good.
Sure.
The thing that I want to point out here is this. If we do trade up, okay, and let's say hypothetically we trade up and get someone like the 49ers, who are probably trading up to get Mac Jones, correct?
Have him, by the way.
Yeah, I know. What is that saying about the coaching staff and Mac Jones? It is saying that Kyle Shanahan, and this was a great take that Colin Cowherd had this morning. It is saying that Kyle Shanahan believes that his system and what he does can be great, and he just doesn't want someone to improvise it. Meaning, he doesn't want a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or a Zach Wilson to come in there and use their athleticism. He is saying, my system is so good, don't improvise, just run the plays and we'll win games, okay? Actually, and I know, screw the Packers. We all hate the Packers on this. And everybody else who's a Packer fan, we hate you too. But Matt LaFleur did that same kind of thing. He came in because he has a similar offense to Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers. He came in and said, listen, Rodgers, we know you're great. We know you can improvise, but instead stay in the system, do your checkdowns. And Aaron Rodgers ended up becoming and having one of the best statistical years of his career and being the MVP. So I'm not almost as out if Kyle Shanahan does believe that Mac Jones will be that person and can fit that system and play into it, because I think he's out on Jimmy G. This is why I think Justin Fields, or even a Trey Lance, if we give him a little time, can fit our offense. And the reason why is because we don't have those offensive minds like the Kyle Shanahans of the world, who is one of the best offensive coordinators, or the Josh McDaniels of the world. We don't have that in Chicago, and we don't even have the talent of the 49ers.
I thought this guy was supposed to be the answer for that, though.
Yeah, I know, but listen,
Matt Nagy, that was him saying that a couple years ago.
I think Matt Nagy needs that. I think he's the anti-Kyle Shanahan. I think he needs a quarterback to come in and improvise for them to succeed. And the only quarterbacks that are in this draft that will be able to do that are the Trey Lances, are the Justin Fields, are the Zach Wilsons, but I think Zach Wilson is going to go 2 overall. I think he's out of it. We need that. And honestly, what do we have to lose? I mean, our offense has been terrible, so we might as well at least try to upgrade it by not bringing in somebody like Andy Dalton, who's just going to stand there like a statue. So that's my first point. And wait, just hold on one second. I got you. I know you got something. I know you got something there.
I'm
My
excited.
second, my second biggest thing, and we'll just go, 4 points, and then in the middle, I'll let you throw in there. The second biggest thing is I don't know if a lot of people understand this. I love prospecting players. I don't know if a lot of Twitter Bear fans have looked at the potential QBs in next year's draft. Okay, even the next 2 years. The Clemson quarterback DJ is a pretty good prospect, and Oklahoma's about to get a guy from New Jersey who's phenomenal. But next year, the number one QB, and this is gonna hurt all Bears fans because it's just PTSD, is Howell, the quarterback of North Carolina. Okay, I've watched him. I've watched Sam. He's in the ACC. I've watched him play. Yes, statistically, he throws it a lot, but he is a 100% chuck the ball up to all of his athletes and get good stats. He's not a very functional QB, and that honestly is not great. After that, it is Slovish, the quarterback from USC. After that, it's Bo Nix. I love Bo out of Auburn. Can't throw the ball to save his life. More of an athlete.
Athlete name,
Then
Bo.
it's Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma. Not a big fan. It's Tanner Morgan, the quarterback from Minnesota. Do you want him to be the Bears QB next year? No. And then the Iowa State QB, who Purdy? I don't even know who that is. I've never
Don't
even
even know his name.
I don't even know him. The only quarterbacks, honestly, on that list that I watched play that played in major bowl games that had good statistical years are the North Carolina one, North Carolina QB, which I have reservations. Bo was a very highly touted recruit, but clearly cannot throw. He's shown that at Auburn. And then Spencer Rattler of Oklahoma, who's a twig. I do not like the next year's coming up quarterback class. I think it's going to be kind of a weak one. And I think maybe one of those guys, one of them, will maybe pan out to be a starter. The rest won't. So my biggest thing is, Nick, is you're saying, hey, let's go get that offensive tackle. Let's, wait for us to draft Davis Mills out of Stanford.
I never said Davis Mills.
Okay, whatever. That's been the hot thing. Or Kellen Mond. And
there you
let's
go.
wait. Let's wait a year or two. Why the Khalil Macks and the Akeem Hicks and the Eddie Jacksons and the Allen Robinsons of our team continue to get older, out of their prime, and that's just what the Bears like. That's honestly going to be the destruction of the Chicago Bears. And that is why I am so pro moving up in this draft, because I promise you the next draft of 2023 will not be a good quarterback draft. I will put it here right now. If I'm wrong, somebody can come back to this video and call me out a year from now. I'm telling you, it's not going to be as good of a quarterback draft. I mean, Kellen Mond, honestly, if he waited one more year, but he can't because he's a senior, would probably be the number one quarterback in the draft.
Oh, no doubt, and no doubt about it. I am not disregarding the fact that this quarterback class is much better than next year. There is no doubt about that. My issue is, so I know you saw me got excited when you started talking about North Carolina. I know you saw me starting to get excited when it came to the offensive-minded guru. That's what Matt Nagy wanted. Matt Nagy got an athletic quarterback out of the last 2017 draft in Mitch Trubisky. He is fast with his feet. He can make flashy throws. Can he make a throw diving in midair with 2 tackles on him in the Super Bowl like Patrick Mahomes? Sure, he probably could. He has that athleticism. And you're getting a guy in Justin Fields. You're getting a guy in Trey Lance that can do exactly what Mitch did. And it's the exact same situation. You're getting a quarterback from, Justin Fields, I give him credit, went to a Big Ten school, was a proven quarterback in the Big Ten in competition of Big Ten teams. Great. You have proven yourself in college.
And a proven winner against big schools.
Right. He's a winner against big schools. But Kellen Mond is too. But Trey Lance, no, he's not. He is not a winner against big schools. If you're flexing that you're beating Illinois State, and I went to Illinois State, I'll rip on the football program all day long, minus James Robinson. Shout out again. Love that guy. he is nothing to write home about. He is not like what I would sit at the dinner table and go, Trey Lance. Like, I'd be like, God, it would sink like Mitch Trubisky all over again. In my opinion, and I know some Bears fans are on the same page as me, and I, happy that they see it. I do see your side though, that we do need someone that can just, this is it. This is the last shot we have for at least the next 5 years until we have a team that has this caliber. And I agree to that. Nick Foles, not the answer, pocket quarterback. Mike Glennon, not the answer, pocket quarterback. Mitch Trubisky, athleticism, can move around. That's why I'm saying there are plenty of quarterbacks in this draft, later in the draft, that can work out for us and be athletic like Mitch and better than him. I mean, there is no doubt about that there are better quarterbacks right now in the draft that are better than Mitch Trubisky from their pro days. And sure, when you get on the field, you get nervous, you make mistakes, you're a rookie. I get that. But also, you need guys to protect that quarterback. And if we give up like early, the second round pick that we have, the fourth round pick that we have, get rid of all the 6 at that point if you're going to move up. But this is also a lineman heavy draft. So get the best you can get. And, you need guys to block that quarterback. We don't have Bobby Massey anymore. We're going to have Alex Bars out there at left or right tackle. It's not going to work. We need that we need that presence. And I get what you're saying. There's two sides to every argument. But, if the Bears, I think they can do well enough with Andy Dalton that they can hold off. And we haven't even looked at the potential free agency class for next year. So who knows? I'm not worried about the draft. And then when you said one of the best guys out of North Carolina in next year's draft, literally, I just started having PTSD in my chair. I was like, oh my God, not again, not another guy from North Carolina.
So Nick, what I wrote down while you were talking right there, and I agree. The PTSD of the North Carolina, and I know he would probably be the number 1 QB, and Sam is not the answer. The number 1 thing I just wrote down in my notes right here was mediocrity. That's what I wrote down. Was mediocrity.
You calling me that?
No, mediocrity for the Bears. Not you. You're a great host. Is mediocrity for the Bears. The problem that I, again, think the Bears have an innate issue with is not taking risk for reward. Yes, minus Mitchell Trubisky, that was a risk. But technically, like you said, I do agree. If you go back and look at Mel Kiper, who is supposed to be the highly touted, or Todd Schaefer, or any of those guys, they had Mitchell Trubisky for most of their mock drafts as the number 1 QB in that 2017. They were totally for a while. Mel Kiper was really out on Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so again, I do agree with you that Ryan Pace actually probably did the right thing. He probably did what the scouts said. He probably did what the fans said and the media said, and what his people close to him said. Hey, this guy is going to be the number 1 QB. We have to move up to get him. Okay, yeah. Taking that risk. He is a bear hiding behind a tree, and he's always sneaky as heck.
Yeah.
This is why, again, and this is my last point of why I'm very pro moving up. If we don't move up, okay, we will have a mediocrity quarterback position because we will not get highly touted QBs out of the free agency to come to Chicago. Right. It's not going to happen. We don't have the Hopkins. We don't have the elite, receivers. We don't have an elite running back, which he might be, but we don't. We don't have an elite. We don't have an elite offensive line. We just don't have those key pieces. And players aren't stupid. They know that our best players are getting old. Yeah. Okay, they know that they're out the door sooner rather than later. Khalil Mack is not 22 years old anymore. He's just not. And that's just the biggest problem. And so, again, I don't think free agency is the answer. Honestly, I don't even think we're that good in the free agency. I think it's kind of Ryan Pace's Achilles heel is the free agency. If you would think the best part of it is the middle of the draft, the worst part of it is the free agency. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My biggest thing on why we need to do this is because we need to keep Matt Nagy around. Okay. I know I'm pro Matt Nagy. I know you're not. I know I'm kind of anti Ryan Pace. I know you're kind of pro Ryan Pace. We talked about that in our last podcast. The reason why we have to move up in this draft, and the reason why no matter what team in the top 10 wants to figure out and, give away for these draft picks, clearly we already are willing to leverage the future. Clearly, because of the Russell Wilson stuff, we will leverage the future. They don't care. Ryan Pace could care less what is going to happen to the future of the Chicago Bears. He made that very, very, very clear, and so did the McCaskies and anybody else who was a part of dumping out all of that Russell Wilson information does not care of the future. So if you don't care about the future, I'm a very understanding, currently right now, helpless Bears fan. Screw it. Move up in the draft. It's gonna be the best quarterback we have available. They're at least gonna be better or more athletic or be able to do something more than Andy Dalton, because we're not gonna get somebody out of the free agency. I have no confidence in our ability to free agency, especially when Ryan Pace is telling me that uh, who did he say was like the best free agency pickup? I laughed at that conference call, or I mean that conference call we watched. So my biggest thing is Ryan Pace. You need to give him someone. He was effective in 2018 with Mitchell Trubisky. The Bears offense, because we lack weapons so much, that is the big reason why we do need somebody like Justin Fields. Okay, I am kind of out on Trey Lance, but sure. Trey Lance, I think, is still better than Andy Dalton. If Mac Jones falls, which again, a lot of people are saying quarterbacks are going to go boom, 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 boom. I'm kind of out on that. I think one will slip. If one slips, we take the one that slips. Yes, I know we talk a lot about the value, and I always make it very aware that in our draft, in our mock draft videos, that for the value, because I made that trade and we got an extra second round pick with the Buffalo Bills, we were able to draft Kellen Mond. That's a good value pick.
Yes.
Okay, that's a great value pick. But in the second round, if we only have one pick, we need to use it either on a wide receiver, a corner, or a lineman. Okay, it can't be on a QB.
If you go QB, you got to go lineman after.
Yeah, we would need Kellen Mond or somebody like that to fall to the third round for us to be able to get a valued pick at QB. I don't think Kellen is going to fall to the third round. I think that his draft stock is slowly building. I think he's going to honestly go even before our pick is available in the second round.
Yeah, that I agree to.
Yeah, I'm not trading up for him because that's just absolutely ridiculous. So we need a QB. I'm trading up in the first round. I'm going out there. I'm calling the Detroit Lions. Who honestly, the Detroit Lions are not a bad suitor because they need a ton of stuff. Okay, they just got Jared Goff. They need a ton of stuff. But I'm looking at it: the Detroit Lions, the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons. Who else did we list there? Carolina Panthers, who just got Sam Darnold, all have a QB for the next season. We don't. Yes, we're going to have to. Every single fan out there is going to yell at me and say, hey, we're going to give up 2 or 3 first-round picks. Who cares? We were already going to leverage the future. No, Ryan Pace doesn't care about the future.
This is it.
So we might as well do it.
This is it. This is the last year why this defense is the level that it's at, and that I agree to.
Yes.
So I think London and I are going to stick to our guns about where we stand, but I think we both had very strong arguments as to why you should or shouldn't move up in the draft. But let's say it happens. Let's say Ryan Pace pulls it off, gets the number 4 pick. Let's just start with the number 4. Leave it at 4. If we're moving up, London, who are you taking? And give me a 1-minute review.
Oh, man, you caught me on the spot here. If I'm moving up and I'm the Chicago Bears, are we going Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2? Who's available? Who's available?
So Trevor Lawrence is gone at number 1. Zach Wilson's gone at 2.
Okay.
It's kind of a toss-up who's going to be number 3.
Just you're the host, you pick for the theory of what happens.
I feel like those 2 are for sure gone, and that elite lineman out of Oregon is gone.
Okay, so Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance are still on the board.
Yes, they are still on the board.
Okay, I'm going Justin Fields. I think if we move up to the 4th round pick, you can't take a guy like Trey Lance. I agree with you. I've seen Trey Lance. I heard from people who did at North Dakota State who are on ESPN that went to those college game days say that they never even stuck around to watch Trey Lance because he wasn't anything special,
No.
and that the media is just overhyping him. You've seen him. You say the same thing. Honestly, that kind of just, you know,
Turns
that
you off. It turns you
that
off.
yeah,
You don't want a guy
it
like
turns
that.
me off. It turns me off. If people aren't actually staying, people pay thousands of dollars to watch Justin Fields at Ohio State. People weren't paying that at North Dakota State. I don't like that. I do think Mac Jones will go to the 49ers now that Kyle Shanahan has made it very aware he doesn't want a scrambling QB. So I think Justin Fields fits right there at 4. And if we do move up, which I'm hoping we do move up for a top 10 pick, we take Justin Fields.
And people are going to call me absolutely nuts for my number 4 pick. If we get number 4, I'm going Caleb Farley, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. And why? We don't have Kyle Fuller anymore. So if we are going to stick to our guns with Andy Dalton, and that's just the way Ryan Pace is, and that's the way Matt Nagy is, we might as well go get a young corner who's going to make that defense back to the status that it was. That's just what I'm sticking with. Yeah. I don't want a quarterback. I really don't want Justin Fields. I really don't want him. And if we get him, turns out great. Justin, by all means, roast me all you want. I'm not going to come at you with questions. But, man, I do not want Justin Fields. I'm sticking to my guns. I want Kellen Mond still. I know it's crazy. I know I'm all in for him because there's just so low risk, such high reward with that guy. But with that, we're going to wrap up this podcast. Very, very, a lot of details, a lot of yelling, a lot of excitement. So overall, we hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for joining into this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Roti. I'm joined alongside my co-host, London Beth, and we will see you guys next time.